So far this season, we have seen a lot of different pieces of news, updates, rumors surrounding the New York Rangers kind of trade deadline and trade situation as a whole in general. And today we have some more trade news as well from a very trusted, NHL kind of reporter here / insider in Frank Seravalli as well. So we're going to take a look at some of that news in today's video as well as some more stuff because this is pretty interesting and definitely kind of conflicts maybe a little bit on what was kind of reported a couple days ago as well. So we're going to kind of dive into this and really kind of break it down here because this is some pretty impactful and interesting possible news for the New York Rangers kind of trade deadline and trade situation as a whole. And the news that I did say could be a little conflicting with this kind of update that we got here is, basically the other day we had a report kind of come out basically stating that the New York Rangers owner, James Dolan, as well as general manager Chris Drury, were quote-unquote not quite ready to kind of wave the white flag, I guess, on this season, basically saying that they were not quite ready to kind of label the New York Rangers as sellers for this upcoming trade deadline, which is pretty interesting considering the Rangers, are one of the worst teams in literally the entire NHL. So that's pretty interesting there. This team has obviously been on a long stretch now of just awful play after getting off to, at the very beginning of the season, a pretty good start there. So this has been an interesting season, a very disappointing one, but we have had a lot of different kind of conflicting, honestly, like these two kind of pieces of news here are. And there's a lot of conflicting news going around about the New York Rangers right now. There's a lot of different kind of sources coming out with their own news and kind of quote-unquote inside information about the New York Rangers, stuff like that. So it can be a little tough to kind of really tell, which news is exactly true. But Frank Seravalli is a very reputable reporter / insider, in my opinion. So I think we can definitely trust what he has to say here. So let's take a look at this kind of article here, and I will have it linked in the description as well if you want to check it out. And these couple quotes here from Frank Seravalli himself. So starting off here with the quote, one of them, he ends up saying here, right now, they're trending to be sellers, Seravalli said. But I still don't believe that Chris Drury is going to sit back and do nothing. And it is kind of interesting that he says that they're trending to be sellers because this team has already made, I would say, two kind of selling moves, trading away Kaapo Kakko and Jacob Trouba. Now, Kakko, yeah, he's kind of a young guy, so maybe getting rid of a young guy, you don't consider a kind of selling move. But, getting back Will Borgen and two draft picks, I would kind of say that is pretty much, a selling move. And obviously trading away Jacob Trouba for a depth defenseman kind of at best in Urho Vakanainen, as well as a, fourth-round draft pick, I would say that's definitely a selling move as well. So we've already kind of made two selling moves. This Rangers team is not in a good spot. I mean, we are one of the worst teams in the entire NHL, quite a ways away from the top three spots in the Metropolitan Division, and still quite a ways away even from the first or second wildcard spot, especially when you consider how many teams are in between the Rangers and that second wildcard spot as well. So the playoffs definitely are not looking like a necessarily likely scenario for the New York Rangers as of right now. Can things change? Yes. Are they going to? Probably not, unfortunately. And that does suck to say. I mean, I'm a diehard Rangers fan. I make videos every single day talking about this team. But if I'm being honest here, at this point, with the way things have gone, I don't necessarily, unfortunately, see this team kind of fully turning things around here, going on some crazy run like we saw from the St. Louis Blues, a while back. And obviously, that's disappointing to say, but I just don't see this massive, crazy turnaround kind of happening with this team as things do currently stand. Now, do we see Chris Drury try and make a buying move or two with the reports that have come out? Unfortunately, it does seem like it's possible, although to me, that would be a really stupid and bad decision unless it is, trading for someone who does have maybe quite a few years or at least a couple years left under contract or is a young player, who is still controllable with RFA rights or something like that as well. So that's kind of the question there. What type of player would Chris Drury be trading for who's kind of that, non-selling move and kind of a buying move? What type of player is Chris Drury going for? Because if it is that rental type player, to me, that is useless for this Rangers team. A guy like Will Borgen needs to be traded away because, to me, he doesn't provide much value at all. He is a bottom pairing defenseman, I would say, in an ideal role. In his best spot, maybe he can be a, good number 5 defenseman at best. And I think that's kind of his ceiling as well. So to me, you got to look to trade him away. He's an expiring contract. He's that big body, right-handed shot defenseman. there's going to be some teams who are interested in him possibly. So going out there, trading away Will Borgen, trying to get some decent assets back in return to kind of up the value from that Kakko trade, in my opinion, is the right way to go. And he's also someone who I don't necessarily want to see get re-signed by the Rangers. So to me, it is an absolute no-brainer to try and look to trade him away, which there's definitely going to be teams interested in, willing to give away some decent assets, whether it is picks and or prospects, for someone like Will Borgen. So to me, this Rangers team, having multiple players with expiring contracts, being at the bottom of the NHL, to me, it is a no-brainer. We should absolutely be 100% sellers unless things completely turn around in the next, month and a bit or whatever it is up until the NHL trade deadline, which is in early March. So to me, it's a no-brainer. You got to be sellers, and this team is just not in a spot to not be sellers because this team has to look forward to the future and not this season, because this season is pretty much a lost cause at this point. Another quote here we have in the exact same article, this one as well, from Frank Seravalli, as he ends up saying, quote, "I think they're going to be buyers for the long haul, but maybe not fixing this season," if that makes any sense. And that's kind of the also kind of conflicting news in this article itself as well, is the information that we're getting from Frank Seravalli is definitely a little weird, you could possibly say, because one of them kind of says that we're trending towards seeing the Rangers be sellers, and then the other one is kind of saying that maybe buyers. And that's kind of the point that I'm saying here is, I don't think this Rangers team is going to go into full-on rebuild. So I think we're looking at maybe, or at least should be using this season as kind of a retool. So maybe going out there and making some buying moves is what happens for this team. And, it could make a bit of sense, but the only way for it to possibly make any sense is it to be for a kind of young guy, or at least a player who's in his maybe kind of later 20s, but has some, control on that contract and has some years left on that deal. So to me, to be buyers, like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but this team is not going to go into a full-on rebuild. We're not going to see this team completely strip it down, top to bottom. So considering this is probably going to be the one season where we kind of maybe, are near the bottom of the NHL and hopefully kind of bounce back next season, this season should be used as kind of a retooling season. So to me, the Rangers should definitely be sellers, and it definitely seems like that would be the more beneficial thing for the long-term future of this organization. But now taking a look here at a piece of this article, but this time not a quote from Frank Seravalli, and in that article, it ends up saying, if the Rangers find themselves in a similar position in a month from now, expect Drury to start accumulating assets to build for the future. And that's what this team needs to do. You have to go out there and accumulate some more assets, whether it is picks and or prospects, because we're not going to go win the cup this season. We're not going to more than likely go on a long playoff run, let alone possibly even make the playoffs at this point. So you really have to look towards the future with this team right now, and we have some nice pieces, I think, that contending teams would want to trade for that are rentals as well. So to me, making these selling moves, trading away these rentals specifically at the deadline to go out there and acquire these draft picks and prospects to help kind of replenish what we have seen this team kind of give away and trade away over the past off seasons and deadlines. So I think that's probably what's best for this team's kind of long-term future. Get some prospects, get some picks, retool, hopefully get a really high draft pick in this draft. And, I'm not saying kind of bottom out for the rest of the season here, finish dead last and hope for the best in the lottery. But, if we're not going to make the playoffs, let's hope we kind of have some lottery luck once again, like we have had in the past there. Maybe, win one of these really, really talented prospects, because this is seemingly a pretty good draft, it seems like. Now, it doesn't have that Connor McDavid at the top for sure, but it seems like it does have kind of 4 or 5, really, really good prospects in this kind of class here at the top that could be considered elite. So to me, if you finish near the top there, you get one of these kind of top prospects who could possibly end up being, a top line forward or a top pairing defenseman. These potentially elite prospects could be pretty good, nice kind of additions for this team to just kind of add to the prospect pool that has been lacking a little bit since guys like Kakko, Lafreniere, Braden Schneider, Keandre Miller, all those kind of guys did, eventually obviously kind of make their kind of graduation to the NHL level and, obviously come out of the prospect pool, which definitely made our prospect pool look a lot worse than it has been in the past. So to me, it's got to be a selling season here. You got to kind of use the season as a retooling one, and hopefully can kind of have things turned around after making some hopefully pretty major moves this going off season to kind of get back on track here to competing and hopefully trying to win that Stanley Cup. But anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content, and also Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this article as a whole. What do you want to see the Rangers kind of do for kind of trades as a whole? Do you want to see them be sellers, buyers? What kind of moves you want to see them make? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Let's go Rangers.